Who are you as Chris Sturmey, specifically?
I've never been asked that before, mate. That is a very good question. I would say, the first thing I'd say is misunderstood, because you
Okay.
get tarred with the same brush. You know, you have a certain look. Everybody, you know, you get attacked online and stuff like that, and you're like, still a human. Do you know what I mean? You're still a normal person. I think
Yeah.
people forget through the lens of a camera that you have a family, you have friends, you know, you have some level of feelings. It's not like, oh, I've got feelings and I feel down and whatnot. But you do have a heart where you're just like, hang on a minute. Like, you know, I've always had the best of intentions. I think I've always been the type of person who wants to help people. Like if there was a kid at school getting bullied, I was like, okay, the first joke was funny, but then after that I was like, oh, come on. I'd feel really bad. Whereas other, like, we've had people in the pub before, like we're making too much noise and they're like, excuse, can you keep the noise down? Or they get up and leave and I'm like, oh, sorry. And people are like, sorry, fuck them, let them go. And I'm like, come on, like I don't want to be that guy. Do you know what I mean? I've always had that trait where I always look out for people. If we're in a group, I want to go to the back and walk behind to make sure everyone's safe. You know, I don't like being out in the front, like follow me and stuff like that. So I've always had these traits where I just want to protect, I want to look after people. You know, the films like Gladiator and whatnot, that's always inspired me. I always see myself as that kind of individual. And yeah, you get misunderstood online, you know, especially like when all the TikTok stuff popped off. I was looking at it as like, people don't understand who you actually are. Like how good a person you are, how many people you want to look after. Like I would do stuff, like you see me out and about, like it's little acts, like holding the door open for people. Are you okay? Do you need a hand with it? And stuff like that. And then it's on a bigger scale where you're helping people out financially. You make sure somebody's okay and whatnot. You go and spend like half a day with an old person that when you grew up, they helped you.
Yeah.
And you're like, are they ill? I'm going to pop over and sit with them. It never gets seen, never gets spoken about. You know, like you think, we've had about 10 issues with the supplements in the last 14 months.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about them. And I get all the shit. You think of my streaming platform, right? I could have gone, here's the company that were building it. They fucked me over. They didn't quite build it the way they were supposed to, and they charged me more. 170,000 people go and give them shit. They're the ones. I could have passed the buck. Nobody even knows who that company is. Never mentioned them. Took all the brunt of it and went, okay, like I'll try and get it fixed, guys. Apologies. Here's what we're doing. Wasn't a me problem. Wasn't my fault. Do you know what I mean? But it's something that I had to put right. And I never mentioned them once. Never mentioned the company. But you don't get any credit for that because it's done in silence. And that's very much who I am. You know, it's like the same with the businesses. Like Supplement is the best on the market. There is nothing like it. It's the best. I created it for me and other guys in the industry to help. That was the whole idea. Testosterone friendly body wash. Terrible idea. It's made of glass. Do you know what I mean? It's a unique formula. It's costing me a bomb. I was making like £2 off each one, but I was like, no, let's do it for the guys because it's good for people.
Yeah.
It's good. It boosts their testosterone. It's helpful. It's never been about profit and stuff like that. You know, and you think 1M International, like how big that is and how many guys are enjoying that. And the vision is like a legacy play where people can travel around the world. They give us £5,000 or dollars, and then they're able to travel the world and save 25,000 a year on living costs. And it's like, that's a legacy play that's going to help millions, probably, you know, tens of thousands of men all around the world build a life, build a business, afford a house, solve the living crisis. And you're like, that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
It's coming from that point, you know, inside your body. But everyone sees it as just, you're just another one that wants to make money and all that shit. And it's annoying because I do have a really good heart. And when people are around me, they're like, oh, he's silly. Like he's fucking around, he's stupid, he's not this like just stoic character sat there and stuff like that. You have that element to you.
Of course
you know, you're not goofy and whatnot, but you can have a laugh and a joke. Like me and you, just before we hit record, we're pissing ourselves laughing about like member of our team and something that they said in the group chat. And we're just messing around like two 18-year-old lads at college. Do you know what I mean? It's like people don't see that side of you. They don't see when you're driving over to Granada to build the house, knowing that you're about to sacrifice 3 months of your own summer, all of your own furniture, a shit ton of money. You know you're going to wreck the brand for a few months. Everyone online's calling you a scammer. And you're in the car saying, I just really think we could build something great for the guys here. Like that's, you know, and they don't see that because that's off camera. Yeah, it's disappointing, but that's who I am as a person. I'm always thinking of others first, and it's probably a downfall because if I was more selfish, I probably could have done what other people have done and just moved to Dubai and have 10 million in the bank and just go off into the sunset, drive the Ferrari and go, look at me, buy my shit. But it's not me. Even if I know that makes a shit ton of money, even if I know that I've said to you on the phone before, I've said to you, I've been, you know, at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, some of these guys are scamming everybody and look how much money they're making. And I'm like, but Gary, I can't do it. I've said, how many times have I said that to you? I'm like, mate,
yeah.
I was like, I'd say to you the exact words, like, mate, sometimes I think, is it all fucking worth it? Giving everything back, helping all these guys. When you see some of these gurus in the industry making 10 million a year and they're doing 4 hours of work a week. And then I go, but mate, it's disingenuous and I can't do it because I want the best for my guys. Do you know what I mean? And that gets misunderstood.
That takes a lot longer as well to get the message out.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's not a slapdash play; it's a long-term play. And the thing is, things move at a glacial pace.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I think as well too, and that's why you and I hit it off well. And it's harder to get that message across, I think. But I wanted to talk about the things that you're putting in the works. Now, you mentioned 1M International. Obviously, Granada's up and running. Things are moving in play. We've had conversations about certain things, but kind of give everyone and say your piece, mate. Like, say what you want to say about the vision for it. Actually, what is it going to be? Because people have said it's a scam. What is 1M International? Why is it in Granada? What's going to happen? You know, no one really kind of knows what it is. It's just been seen as this sort of play by 1STMAN or play by Chris, and it's, well, what is he actually doing? So just give people an overview, because I'd actually be interested to hear this myself.
Yeah. It's nice to do that sometimes as well when you start speaking about it. It's what brought this to light for me was the other day somebody left a comment saying, whatever happened to that 1M house idea?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you have no idea what's been happening. But that was almost by design, because we saw all the scam and whatever. We had all of the guys that signed up, and we were like, that's our closed community. These are the guys that love it. Let's just help them. I was like, if other people think it's this and whatnot, and we just silenced it. And we've spoken about it on the school community. We've spoken about it in the closed WhatsApp group with all the members.
Yeah.
And we've just kind of gone, those guys can enjoy it, and everyone else doesn't even need to know what's going on until we're ready to go to the next phase.
Yeah.
And that is pretty much now where all the infrastructure's in place. And the idea behind it was like, getting a mortgage in this day and age is almost impossible now for so many people. Like, the cost of living's going up, mortgage prices going up, income hasn't really moved. And it's like, it's apparently now like 19 times harder to get a house than it was for your parents or whatever.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's like 9 times. It's something ridiculous. Either way, it's unaffordable until you're about 45, something like that. And then you're retiring later. So it's just like life's been stretched out. So people just can't get the results that they want. Rent is through the roof.
Yeah,
like, if you're going to rent, like, it is ridiculous unless you're earning good money. You know, you think about this place, it's a 1-bedroom apartment, really. And the price you're paying for it is very good. But in any other era, you'd go, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's lunacy.
Well, it's lunacy, right? It's more than the average wage in the UK per month. And you're just like, why the hell would you do that? And then there's the concept of Mr. International and Born on a Budget, which I was always keen about. Where, like, you can travel the world and you can live like James Bond, and you can go and find these pockets in the world where it's like, oh, Montenegro, cheaper house prices, but a really cool setup. You can go out there, you can have 2 weeks out there a month, you can take your beautiful missus. It was all optimism. And then it just hit me one day and I was like, why don't I actually bring that to reality for people? And that's when I came up with the idea of the members club combined with kind of international travel and whatnot. That was 1M House. And I said to people, I was releasing that YouTube video. I'm buying you guys a house. And I thought it was going to be roses and flowers and, you know, people going, oh,
sunshine and rainbows.
You've changed this industry, Chris, you're a god. And the amount of hate I got off the back of that video, I was like, are you taking the piss? Now, we'd already launched the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
We'd already emailed everybody, put it out there. We'd already done a poll who thought this was a good idea. So we already had our group of like existing members. There was already like 100 people that were like, I'm going to sign up and whatnot. They'd signed up because that was post. So that was post February when we launched. So then we went out to the YouTube community. I'm buying you guys a house. And we'd already been to Barcelona. We'd done the viewings. I was showing them footage of that. And all I got was shit and hate. And I was like, how can you hate on this? And everyone's hate was, we're paying for your mortgage. And I was like, but that doesn't compute to me. Because, like, lo and behold, the end scenario is I paid half, the members paid half. That's how it all adds up. And I've got the proof to show it. I can show it from my bank account. So it was like $250 each, whatnot. But you think to yourself, you are paying, at the time, it was £2,000.
Yeah.
You're paying £2,000 to live the life of a millionaire. right? You pay £2,000 and then you get a house in Granada that you can go to whenever you want. Whenever you want.
Literally
You can
whenever you
literally
want.
go and stay there.
Yeah.
It's a 6-bedroom mansion, pretty much. All the members will tell you that. We had a launch party where there was like 60 people there collectively with all of us. We've got a gym that's worth about 20K. We've got a sauna. We've got like a room where you can work from, which we've had 8 people working in that room in one day. You've got a massive swimming pool. You've got seating areas. You've like, it's outrageous. It like quite literally is outrageous. It's more than I ever thought it would be. But people still thought, you know, and on top of that, we've done events.
Yeah.
We've been to Budapest as a group. There was about 20 of us, which is really fun. We've been to London as a group of around about 20 people. 4 of us were in Paris when I was driving back from Granada. We did a little meetup with 2 of the guys that were there. That was really fun in Café de Flores. And we've got one of the members and his brother was in this house the other day. They traveled over to London. He was like, can I come and see you? And you're like, look at that network. Look at that brotherhood. Look what we've created. It's phenomenal. But people just couldn't believe it because it almost sounds too good to be true. And it's like, but that's what we're trying to create.
Yeah.
We're trying to create something that 18-year-old me would have killed for. Like the ability to just pay a set fee. So it's like, let's add it up for what it is. You pay $2,000. Then you get to travel the world, go to all these events, go to sports events. Maybe we book boxing events, stuff like that, fashion tickets. You also get to stay at a house in Granada. We're planning to buy one in London. Then we'll plan to buy one in New York. And every year, when you put your money in, your renewals, that money is going to be put into another house and another house and another house and another house to improve the service and continue making more money for the business and making it grow. That to me is logical. And people go, how are you making money off that? It's like, it's very easy. Number one, it's profitable on its own, because if we just rented locations, it'd be fine. But buying the properties is, and this is what people don't compute in this era because they're too young. They don't understand it because everyone is a scammer, so they don't see it this way.
Yeah.
For me, if I can buy, worst case scenario, 1 house every year on the renewals, and I go, there we go, your service just got better. Oh, renewals have come back in. Thanks for your $2-3 grand, whoever paid. I'm glad you enjoyed what we did last year. I'm going to use it to buy another house. And everyone goes, so what? You're not keeping any of the money for yourself. You're not buying your lime green Lamborghini. You're not going to fly around the world. You're not going to buy a nice watch. And I'm like, no, because at 40 years old, I can refinance every single property that we own 100% of because there's no mortgage on the house in Granada. We own it outright. You're just paying off Chris's mortgage. We own it. We own the property. We can do whatever we want with it. So you own, like, let's say 12 properties over, let's say 10 properties over a 10-year period. I refinance the lot. You can do up to 70% tax-free. Pull out all of that money. Now I'm retired, worth about 20 million, 10 million, whatever. Just leave it all in the bank and go, right, I can have a good life. The houses don't get sold.
Yeah.
They've still got 30% equity in the houses and they've probably gone up in value. They're still there. They're all in position. The members club continues going.
Keep going.
So I'm
you.
like 10 years later, I say to the guys, I've just given you 10 amazing years where you've traveled the world and had experiences that you've never had before. It's now my time to take a bit for myself. Is that okay? And most people would go, yeah, mate, that's a fair deal. That's a really fair deal, Chris. And people don't understand that in life now, that business can be win-win-win across the board. Everybody can win, but you've got to do it in the right way. And it's a 10-year play that takes a long time to unfold. That's what people don't see. Like, we've got guys in 1M International. One of the guys is my camera guy. He signs up, pays $2,000. Nicest guy ever. I love him to pieces. Like a brother to me. He signs up. Since then, he's been to Italy with us.
Yep.
You know, all paid for the trip, right? He's been to Granada twice, for number 1 for the launch event, number 2 to come and see me, where we did some filming and whatnot, and we were, you know, we're networking, filming in, you know, the videos for school and stuff like that, some of the fitness videos. So he's around certain people. Then we drive back from Granada, and we went to Madrid. We went to San Sebastian, Bordeaux, Paris, where he'd never been before, where once we'd finished the meal with the guys, I was like, mate, jump in the taxi. I'm going to give you a tour. I'm going to show you all the sights and whatnot. We drove to like Arc de Triomphe, Eiffel Tower. Yeah, I took him up to Trocadero and stuff like that and was like, mate, this is... Because my mentor did that to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to pass it on to you. And then in 10 years' time, you can do it to someone else. I was like, I love that sort of thing. And that changed my life going to Paris. So I was like, hopefully it gives you that motivation. Then he came to Budapest. And then he was at the event in London very recently. And it's like, he signed up and paid $2,000. And he's had, like, he posted his 2024 highlights, you know, and it's like the end of year, the season has come to an end. It was all was 90% won him international events. You know, it's traveling the world, being in Paris, being in whatever. And it's like, that's the opportunity that it gives you.
Yeah.
And that's not me saying, oh, look at me, look what I've managed to do. That's good for him for signing up.
Yeah.
Because without signing up, that never happens. So him having the bollocks to take that risk has now benefited his life. You know, without going into detail, he's got equipment off the back of that as well. And it's projected his brand to another level. And he'd be the first to say that. We got another guy who was working at the co-op. Literally working at the co-op a year ago.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And he was making, minimum wage, he said. Today, he just had an £8,000 a month, pounds. So over $10,000. So he's doing 10 grand a month in dollars. And that's because he's around 2 or 3 other guys in the group who are doing that already for their job. That's what they do. They do sales. He learned off them. He was around the right people. He's having chats with us all the time. He's hearing us talking about massive figures of like 50 grand a month. That's the network that you can be a part of. He's been to Granada twice, Budapest, the London trip, and he's taken other holidays on his own and stuff like that. You think about how his life has changed. He's gone from working at the co-op to now traveling to about 5 or 6 different locations with 20 lads each time, having the experience of his life and making £8,000 a month at 21. And he said when he signed up, he was like, I didn't have the money. He was like, I put 2 grand in, it left me with nothing. Now he's making £8,000 a month. And it's like, is that going to happen to everybody? Is that what we're about? No, but you're around like-minded individuals.
That's the thing.
That's the game changer. And it's hard to see because you're like, what? Chris is going to take that money that people pay every single year and buy a property and not touch any of it. Yeah, because I'm smart. I'm not a fucking idiot. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to go and buy a watch and watches go up, they appreciate in value. You also get your hand chopped off in an alleyway, you moron. Do you know what I mean? I could break it. But if I go and buy a house and it goes up in value, maybe London's the next plan, and then I refinance that house, pull out 70%, that's tax-free.
Yeah.
That's a long play.
Yeah.
I'll be sat there at 40 years old with my missus and the 2, 3 kids, whatever, going, I've just pulled out $1 million from the London house, and be like, that's our money. We're good. Nobody's coming for it. That's our money. We own that. And we also still own the property. Yeah, we got to pay a little mortgage on it every month, but the company can continue paying that. So it's like renewals every year, continue paying that, and people still get their membership. And I even want to put things in place like once you've been a member for 3 years or 5, it'll probably be 5. For founding members, it'll be shorter time span, but for the average person, after 5 years, it's half price every year. After 10 years, you get it free for life. Because I understand that people are going to get to 30, 32 and go, I've got a wife and kids, I can't really travel with you boys anymore. Oh, don't worry, you don't have to pay. You've given us 10 years lifetime value of money. You can then be a champion for the company.
Yeah.
You can pass this on to the next generation, the younger lads and whatnot, and you can encourage them to sign up. It's like the whole thing for me is legacy. It's a 10-year play. And people see it as like, it's a get rich quick. Do you know what I can't wait for, Big Gaz? Here's the biggest play. This is my biggest fuck you to everybody, and I cannot wait for it. When we buy the second house, buy the second house, and everyone's going to go, huh.
In this city.
Yeah, they're going to be like, I thought he was just going to sell it and cash in and run off into the sunset. It's like, okay, we got a house in Granada. Where am I currently living? London. So that we can go again. Otherwise, I could have my feet up in Granada right now, paying no bills, living in a mansion. Move a nice, beautiful woman in and just be like, hey, I'm job done. Thanks for the house, boys. But I'm here still grinding, still paying 30 grand a month in bills.
That's the thing. You've continued to put out content, and you've continued to. You haven't just, like you said, gone off into the sunset like Bonnie and Clyde. You know what I mean? It's you've done your thing, and then it's like, right, I've done that. On to the next thing, and now you're in here, and you're not in Stroud anymore, in Cheltenham, and it's like you're actually in this place now. Then what's the next phase? That's why I wanted to ask you about that, because I wanted to hear it myself, because I knew bits. Obviously, we've spoken briefly about it, but to actually hear it from you, kind of the vision, and just to get it out into the world as well, and the benefits that the guys have had from it.
And I'll be honest with you as well, mate. It does look like a scam. Like you probably
from the outside,
yourself. From the outside, I get it.
When I first heard about it, I did question it.
Yeah,
everyone's like, "What's the catch?
Yeah,
what's he trying to pull here? Has he kind of sold his soul to the industry? Because a lot of guys are doing it. They're selling their souls to people, cashing out, getting courses, and then just selling it to everybody, and then just disappearing. I was like, is Chris doing that? Mm-hmm. And as a mate, I'm like,
let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm like, what's the play here? So, yeah, but how many months are we down the line now?
So people signed up this time February last
February
year.
last
That
year.
was the initial.
So basically a year.
But then their memberships didn't start until August when the house actually opened. So it was like it was the 6th. That was the first day you could stay after the launch party, and then that's when renewals come back in.
Yeah.
But I pushed it back to September 1st because I was like, well, it just sounds like a good time. Self-improvement September. You decide what do you want to do. Do you know what I mean? Everything's to help the guys out. So I've given them an extra like 24 days, 26 days, something like that, so they can, it's just extra time. Do you know what I mean? And it gives us time for another yearly wrap-up party in Granada. We can go and enjoy ourselves, whatever, and see what we want to do next. But yeah, mate, that's the play. The next one, the next house,
next one.
I've got plans on London because London's too expensive to live, and it's going to be for most people. And then it's £300 a night for a hotel. If you had a house that was a 10 beds, we buy it at 6 and we convert it to 10, and we've got a 10-bedroom house in London, paid and bought outright, and guys can just come and stay here, network, do business, go and. I don't know, you want to go and see a boxing fight or something like that, and you try and book a hotel on top of the ticket, and then you can't do it. You go, okay, well, I can stay for free, and I can go with 4 or 5 other members who are now my best friends, because this is what happens. The guys in the group become your best friends because they're so much like you, and you relate to them more because you go, I don't want to go out and get drunk. I don't want to go and do all the other shit that everyone else is doing. I don't want to miss this yet. I'm going to lock in and focus on myself. What happens? You end up being lonely. It's just you against the world, and you become that lone wolf ranger.
Yeah.
And then, then you find all these other guys around the world, and there's not many of them, but they've done the same thing. And they're like, I'm on that journey too. And they relate to you. And one of the guys they said it in Budapest, and somebody else said it in London when we were up at the rooftop bar recently. And both of them said, I can have conversations with you guys that I can't have conversations with anybody else about. And that's important to me.
Very important.
Like they can go, with my hollow cheeks, how do you said that to somebody else, they'd be like, what's the fucking matter with you? You're crazy. Or like, oh, I've got this slight little like muscle pain in my right arm, and I'm thinking about doing this and this physiotherapy. What's the best methods and whatever? Other people go, I don't know, mate. Whereas this group is like, I know 3 guys that do this, and they dive in, and you're just getting this plethora of information, and you're just growing every single day. It's funny as well. It's funny. We did an end of year. We did 2024 awards, and it was like inside jokes. Like funniest joke of the year, funniest thing that's happened to somebody, biggest fuck up of the year, best moment, best picture. And everyone was like, oh, I remember that. This is since August, really. Like we've only been running 6 months properly. Imagine 6 years time when a lot of the guys are like, my missus is pregnant. We're getting married, and they're announcing that in the chat. And there's like 100 of us that are like, wait, we all need to celebrate. We all need to meet up. Why don't they? Like that's what's going to happen. We're all celebrating each other's wins, and it's almost like this amazing brotherhood. It's nothing I've ever seen. There's nothing like it. I cannot wait to buy the second one, third one, fourth one, and people will go, okay, fuck. There's nothing we can say. And even now, we got all the footage. We've got footage of we got all the testimonials of guys saying how good it is, and then video footage of that same guy with me in either Granada, London, Budapest, or Paris.
It's a big family, man. You're just with people who are really interested in what you're doing.
The only doubts I had was it was a new concept that he hasn't done before.
Taking that leap and investing in myself, which is hard to do for everyone in the beginning, but it's just a leap you need to take, and it's what pushed me over the edge, realizing that if I want to get to where I want to be, I'm going to have to take these risks and invest in myself.
The first one being the networking and actually being able to come and meet like-minded people, which is a rarity in the online space because a lot of it actually stays online as opposed to the in-person things.
Just chilling, high-fiving, whatever, we're all hanging out. And it's like, what do you think he's doing?
Yeah.
Do you think I've paid 58 people to come to the house? Like, mate, it's insane. But
yeah, people don't understand as well, I think, from my perspective, how business actually works. It's like people will follow you to the ends of the earth until you try and make some money and actually keep the lights on, and then they think you're just scamming people. And it's like, no, I'm not. Like I have to pay bills. I'm in this apartment. I have to pay bills. I have to move my life forward. And that's how business works in general. You are a consumer until you're not one. Like you consume from Amazon, you consume from Apple, you consume from all these other brands. They're just selling you a product, and you follow along with their journey. You've watched Amazon evolve. You watched Tesla evolve. There's no difference to watching you evolve as a brand on what you do, in my opinion. And there's a lot of guys watching this that may hate on what I'm saying, but it's like, you don't understand how business works. You don't understand that in order to have a business, you have to make money. Otherwise, it is just a fucking pipe dream.
It's a charity.
It's a charity. And eventually, there's nothing wrong with that in the beginning, but eventually there has to be some change and there has to be some shake-up. Some ideas are better than others, right? Some people are going to hate, some people are not going to hate. But I know a lot of the guys involved in 1MI, again, which is why I wanted to ask about it, because I hear different perspectives, right? But to sit in front of you and interview you and ask questions, it's like, well, let's hear it straight from Chris, because you fucking started it. So now I've heard that, and hopefully people watching this, maybe it just makes people think differently about how they see business, because it's like, yeah, you could just fuck off. Go live in Granada, cash in. Thanks for the mortgage, guys. Joke. See you later.
And you could bounce.
Shut your YouTube channel down, move out officially, go live in Spain or set up your company in Dubai, whatever it is. But you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Actually making my life even harder.
Yeah.
Like every month, making it even harder.
Yeah.
Like what, you think these chairs are free? You think the camera's free? You think this house is
I need
free?
a deposit for this.
Yeah,
I know how
it's
much
like,
the deposit was for this place as
we
well.
paid 30 grand this month on bills, and it's like, what do you pay yourself? Not a lot. I've been sleeping
30 grand.
Yeah, mate, it's mad, isn't it? I've been sleeping on the floor for...
A lot of that was for your team, I imagine, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably 1/3 team, 1/3 house and living costs.
Yeah, because I know the price for this place, because I was here with you when you were looking at it. So
and then a third, like, bills and restocks. Like people don't
for the
realise
supplements, yeah.
Supplements got thrown out. Supplements got thrown out before that. Like in the last 14 months, they've been in stock for 4 of those months.
Yeah.
Because of problems that other people have caused us.
Yeah.
Because of being in Granada and not being able to restock them. Because I was working 18 hours a day building a house, sacrificing my summer for the guys.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy to do. Didn't have time to restock the supplements. So like, how am I going to take care of that? We've just been too busy. And then I got banned on multiple payment platforms because they were like, we don't want you selling this anymore. So I couldn't sell it for like 4 months. And then the last fulfillment company I had fucked up, got the bills wrong, said you haven't paid it, and threw all the stock out. And it's like, but I never tell anybody that. So when they go, this guy's such a scammer, I bought his supplement and it never arrived. And I'm like, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, but I won't get angry, I'll deal with it. So then I say to him, I'll get the delivery to you, don't worry, here's the situation. And so, most people are great.
Yeah.
There's the odd person that goes and makes a video on you, and that's what people see. And I haven't got time to respond to somebody who's got 300 views on YouTube. But then there's 300 views of people that now think you're a knob. And if the other, like people would say, I didn't get my supplement. You go in, you have a check, and it's like, your delivery address is your phone number, you knob. Do you know what I mean? It's like, they'll put something like postcode NA. Because they're just too lazy to do it, and then they blame you for it not arriving. Or they live on a farm in the middle of nowhere and they're like, it didn't arrive, and you're like, I bet 90% of your packages don't arrive, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like your local postman knows where you live, but when it's coming from an individual company like a DHL or something like that, he doesn't know where you live.
Yeah.
You live in the middle of nowhere and you're blaming me. That's what you have to deal with on a daily basis.
No one sees that.
People
side
don't
of
see
it.
that shit. Yeah.
That's real entrepreneurship, though, isn't it?
It is.
That's the thing that you can't show. Maybe you will one day. You mentioned the proof of you putting the money in. Like maybe you will show that one day and say, "Look,
I'll show that
in.
only to the 1MI guys because that's the only guys it's worth showing to." But yeah,
then it's out there. Do you know what I mean? And it's very, very hard to show everything. But people are only ever going to judge on what they see in front of them, and that is something that's really wrong with the industry. And that kind of gives me a segue into the question I really want to ask you. It's sort of the last third of this episode with you. Where do you see the future of the industry going? Because you and I have spoken about this current situation. I mean, I'm only really just getting into it because I was kind of behind the scenes coaching people. We did a video on Hamza together. I've coached Hamza, met you through him, and I've coached a few other people in the kind of the YouTube space off the back of Hamza. But to get in the industry myself and start talking about the subjects I do, is still very new to me at the age of 35. There's a lot of guys in the industry that have been around a long time like you, and they've seen it change. Mm-hmm. And then there's a lot of new guys coming in that are 20-something, making cash and running away. They're here for 6 months, they make a shitload of cash and they disappear. So splitting that down the middle, where do you think, being like an OG of the industry in the manosphere space, where do you see it going?
So I remember there's 2 ways to look at this, and it won't be the first way, but I'll explain it. When we went from the blogging days to YouTube, when it went from blogs to video, that was a big change, but that was just a change of medium. So
yeah,
the difference is when you're writing blogs behind a laptop, that was sat in Starbucks, sipping a coffee, writing your blog, and then you go and pick up your kids. So it was like real human beings with real jobs, and it was just something they did for fun. And the early days of YouTube were like that. The problem, where people were actually trying to help one another. And I miss those days. I really do, where like, people go, oh, I miss Chris from the garage days. Everyone loved me in the garage. You could explain that as like, when you become successful, everyone hates you. But
Yeah,
it was
you do.
more so, I think, the garage days were pure. They were raw. And it wasn't the garage. I could have been doing it from here. It was just back then, the industry felt different. Nobody was trying to sell you anything. They were just making videos for improvement purposes. And it was completely different. The problem with video is it breeds narcissism. People who want to be on camera, people who want to be seen, people who want to create sound bites and go viral on TikTok, they're not good people. You can't have those same traits. Look at most actors. Most actors turn out to be pedophiles. They're molesting people.
Yeah.
They're lunatics.
Politicians.
It comes with the industry, right? And
Yeah.
you go, in the general populace, 1 in 3 are not rapists or pedophiles. But you look at something like Hollywood, it's like, yeah, 1 in 3. So you just go, well, it breeds, it draws the wrong people in. You know, any girl who's ever gone viral on TikTok for shaking her ass, it's like, she's probably a massive narcissist. And they talk about my brand. It's like, you just got a bit of jelly in your butt. What are you talking about? Like, that's nothing crazy. This industry has done that. Like, you think of the Tates, Big Brother, biggest reality TV show in the UK. You don't go on that. And it's today's Love Island.
Yeah.
That's what Big Brother was
Yeah.
back then. It was yesterday, do you know what I mean? And you don't go on that unless you're a fame whore. You're trying to get famous. You don't go on that for any other reason. Tristan was on Shipwrecked. And with all due respect, because I like him, he's always sent me really nice messages. Chris Williamson went on, what was it, Take Me Out, the show?
Yes, and Love Island. Yeah, yeah.
The whole industry is just people who want to get famous. And that's where it's come from. Like, you can trace literally 90% of them back to a reality TV show. That's where most of them have come from. And they've cut, if they haven't come from that, they come from that world. Like, you know, the whole, and like, I like these guys, but you know, the whole like Newcastle crew, when they all went to, they were all club promoters, they were all hanging out with the Geordie Shore guys, they all stayed together. They're cut from the same cloth. Everybody wanted fame, everybody wanted to be seen on camera and stuff like that. And it diluted the industry, where it went from let's help men to let me try and get famous and rich. And I remember one distinct scenario that happened. But like, first of all, I'll just explain. That was GQ in the early days. I hated GQ, and I said, GQ, I'm going to take them down. I'm going to put their head in my fridge. That was like a famous thing that I said. People always used to reference it. It was because they'd have a magazine with nothing but ads in, and they'd frame it as an interview or something like that. That's what's happened again. But everyone's doing it as a course. It's content framed as a course. You know, oh, the Matrix is after you. You better go and buy my course. And it's like the reason we all started this to help men is gone, and the people who have come in are just fame whores, and that's what they're after. And then everyone's being tarred with the same brush. And I'll never forget the day I sat down on camera one day in the garage. I was making a video, and I went, yeah, like, this is crazy. I was like, thank you guys so much. I was like, we made like £40,000 last month. Floodgates. I got about 100 messages the next day. I've been watching your content for ages. I'm going to try and do something similar to you. All these guys popped up. 6 months later, people were messaging me, you should do an interview with the Tates. They're these new guys that have done these, like, they're starting to do videos. I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm older than everyone else. I remember seeing it, and all these people started messaging me, I love your content. I've started doing what you're doing. How would you recommend growing? And it was non-stop. There must have been like 50 new content creators overnight. Every week somebody was telling me about a new one. And I distinctly remember it was the day I mentioned how much money we made off the supplements and the book. And everyone went, whoa, if he can do it with his shit content, with his terrible I was a goldmine.
Yeah.
No thumbnails. I didn't come up with a clever title. Didn't give a fuck. Filming from a dusty garage with 3-4 coats on. Bold guy with a puffy face, getting 100,000 views and making 40 grand a month. And people went, well, I look better than him. I'll do a thumbnail. His camera's shit. I'll go and buy a really good camera. We'll do a catchy SEO title that we know is going to do well. We'll put money behind it on ads, and we'll do the exact same video but change the title slightly. And they did, and they got 1 million views off the same video I got 20, 30,000 views on. It was a gold mine, because it's like I can copy and only 30,000 people will know I copied, and 20,000 of those won't care. And that's what happens to the industry. Instead of like creating unique content now, like people have openly said to me, please start making videos again. When I wanted to quit, they're like, because I've got nothing to talk about. They know I make a video, they'll strip it apart and then make a better version of that same video, talk about the same concept. And the creativity went out of the industry. Instead of people being guinea pigs, which is what we were in the early days, I'm going to test this on myself. I'm going to fast for a week, document it, and let you know how it's going. Now people went, I'm just going to go and buy a Lamborghini, and I'm going to tell you, if you want to live like me, buy my course.
Yeah.
And it's ruined the whole industry. But what will happen, to answer your question, because I know I go on, Gaz, is it will die. It will get torn apart and it will go to the very bottom of the ground. And anybody who's actually about it will stick around and continue doing what we're doing. And they will benefit on the back end as it regrows and becomes something new. But all the other people will disappear. They will slowly disappear because when the money goes, they will go. And that's the problem. You know, you see like different moves that people are pulling at the moment. They're like, this is my last ever course. And it'll be £1,000 on subscription.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Never going to run this offer again.
that's your home run, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's your home run play. You've realised the industry's doing that. Your money's
It's the Hail Mary, isn't it?
It's the Hail Mary, yeah. Well, mate, Hail Mary's a much better term. And I've always said there's certain signs of when somebody's Hail Marying in it is when they put in their price up.
Yeah.
They go, it's 20 grand to sign up now. And you're like, oh, you need to pay off taxes. You need to pay off whatever. You're trying to get rich now.
Yeah.
You're just trying to find 10 idiots to buy you a house. That's literally what you're doing. And it's like, whoever gets through this time period and maintains their morals, when we come out the other side, everyone will see they genuinely give a shit. They genuinely care about the industry. But it has to die and be burnt to pieces before it can climb back up.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's very much like the stock market, you know, when it falls. And we had the 2008 crash and then everything got rebuilt. This is kind of like a micro version of that with the whole manosphere self-improvement space. And yeah, you've been around for a long time and you survived the changes.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah,
and it's
well,
like
11.
Yeah. So over 10 years you've been in this game and you're still here, still creating content, but people are still hating on it. So
with a 10-year plan from here.
Yeah. You're always going to get hate no matter what you do. No matter what you do for a living, you'll always get hate. Like you can be the best footballer in the world, people will adore you, but you're going to get hate from the away fans, always, right? You always have a band of haters that will just want to bring you down. And I've said to you before, it's one of my favourite movies, one of my favourite superhero movies is the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire and the Green Goblin.
Yep.
His famous speech where he says, despite of everything you've done for them, they want to see a hero fail and die trying. They'll hate you, basically, is what he's saying. They will just hate you no matter what you do. Because when they're just waiting for you to fall. And it's like, it's why Cirque du Soleil shows are so popular. I genuinely believe people want to see a fuck up. Like they want to see, they want to go there and see how amazing it is, right? But in the back of their mind are like, what if he falls and I'm the one to witness it? What if he fucks it up and I'm there? And it's the same with everything. Do you know
Like
what I mean?
Mayweather. People used to pay to watch Mayweather lose. They're like,
Yeah.
I think he's going to lose this one.
Like
They
I
couldn't
remember
wait.
when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, then he fought Ricky Hatton, then he fought Pacquiao, all those mega super fights, and people were like, this is the guy that's going to end him.
Yeah.
None of them did.
Didn't even come close.
Canelo was, and he wiped the floor with Canelo.
Yeah, he did.
And it's like, he schooled everybody. And the thing is, Canelo had so many fights at that point as well. This is the argument people always have.
They say he was too young.
And
but
he
was still high level.
And it's like Mayweather just took him apart.
Yeah.
Like Canelo, I think, had lost one fight and he'd had, over 30 fights, over 25 fights? I don't know. But he was experienced. He was young but experienced. They are in Mexico. Mexican fighters, they fight from the day they can walk, pretty much, right?
Agreed.
Mayweather took him apart. And this is what people don't understand. With 1M House, from my perspective, it's another play that Chris has done. So he's done the supplements, he's done the book, now he's doing the house, then you've got the trench coats come in, and they're like, oh, this is what I can get him on now. This is the next thing I can get him on.
It's funny you say that because every time I've announced something new, it gets initial hate.
Yeah.
It's like before you've even done it. When we said we're doing 1M International, we're buying you a house.
Yeah.
Oh, what a scam. And you're like,
You don't know anything
you
about
don't
it.
know yet. Like you don't know what the plan is.
It's
you
just
don't know what
it's
we're
just
doing.
funny to me why how people react like that. And like I said, you've been in the game for over 10 years, and it's like I'm still here.
Yeah. Could have left a long time
Do you know what I mean? You could have walked out. You've made a lot of money. You could have cashed out and gone, fuck this.
Could have cheapened everybody on the supplements and gone, we're going to cut the ingredients by half. I've been told to do that.
Yeah, put
a
some
lot.
baking powder in it.
I've been told to do that a lot.
Drive the
by
cost down.
Manufacturers and people around me, people that were in my old team and stuff like that. Oh, fuck them. They're not going to know. And I was like, I can't do that, mate.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
It's
They're
your
like,
morals,
just
isn't
put
it?
normal ashwagandha in, not KSM 66. Who's going to give a shit? And I was like, but it's not as good. And I've made it for me, so it would piss me off more than anybody else. It's like my boxer shorts. I ordered this 900 pairs the first time I ever did it, because you get them in 300 batches. Somebody said, what if nobody ever buys them? And I was like, I'll wear them forever. I was like, because I've built them for me. I was like, so I've just paid for boxes for life. Like
One
I'm
pair a
Justin
day for
Bieber
3
or
years,
something
pretty
like
much,
that.
yeah.
I was like, so I'm good. And that's what people don't realize. You're making stuff for you. And it might look random and whatever. And you're like, no, I'm just enjoying what I'm doing, making stuff for me, making stuff for other people, whatnot. And you know, people will say stuff like, oh, I signed up to your course for £69 and it's all on school now. And you go, okay, you paid £69 and you got 120 videos. You got your value.
Yeah.
Right? You got your value straight away. It's all there. And also school is school is cheaper. So you basically just paid for like a month of that content. We then moved to school. You just have to pay like $49 and you get all the content plus more. So why are you complaining? Because that would be it's cheaper than the monthly subscription.
Yeah.
You paid $69, you got 120 videos. If you moved over to school and paid the exact same amount again, you would then have the reoccurring subscription and be getting all the content and all the information that other people are getting. You'd have the streaming platform. You would have all the one-to-one interviews. You could ask me any question you wanted. And it's like, you paid $69 once and you're still sad about that. And it's like, no, we just moved over to a better platform that allowed me to do live. We improved the service.
Yeah.
And you stayed there and went,
Yeah.
I paid one time, even though you got 120 videos for it, which is well worth the value, and you're pissed off because we moved it over to somewhere else and improved upon it. Just because it was a better platform and we had to move over. There was some other things behind the scenes, which I won't tell you guys about, but it's like, that's the stupidest argument I've ever heard in my life. You could pay less every month now and be getting 10 times the value, which other guys are getting. And while you're sat there bitching and moaning in the comments going, scam, 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 it's like, I don't see how. What do you want? You pay like £15 for a cinema ticket, you go and watch a movie. People gave me like £100 for the streaming platform and we've released like 12 to 14 shows. You've had your value already. And now we're continuing to add to that. I don't see the issue until you go through the comments and the comments from user X93456, channel created 3 days ago. And you're like, okay. And it's always off the back of mentioning one of the big gurus. So for me, it's sus.
Yeah.
I look at it and I'm like, this is, I don't know, I find it all weird.
It is.
I think it's very suspicious.
It's quite malicious, can't it? Sometimes people are always trying to tear you down. I don't understand it. I mean, I've never once logged onto a YouTube video, watched someone and given hate, and that's the gospel truth. Like honestly, I will happily give anyone my login on YouTube and can see my comments, like what I've left on videos. It's like, it doesn't even cross my mind. And then I'm like, how unhappy are the people in the comments to actually just try and tear you down? Well, why? Does it give you a sense of fulfillment? Does it give you a sense of accomplishment? And you and I have both been in the doldrums of like struggle. Like we've been deep in trenches, like broke, overweight, like you mentioned, fat face, like in a garage, like broke, at home with your mum. You know what I mean? It's like, I've been there too, but I've never once thought about trying to tear someone down that was above me. Like sometimes I'll judge people and I may say it to friends. Oh, I'm not sure about this guy. I think he's a bit of a dickhead, right? But I'm not going to go on their social channel
and express
and try and tear them down. But I think with the industry, it's become almost par for the course for people to do that now, because I think because so many people have been hurt, so many people have been scammed, I do think that now it's normal for people to see that as the standard for the industry. And it's like,
it's irritating.
Like people want to learn, right? People want to improve. Men want to improve. And I think there are a lot of frustrated guys out there that will even look at people like you that have stood the test of time, and they'll still try and tear you down because they'll be like, oh, he's been infected now by everyone else. And then you release stuff with good intentions, but people can't see past that because they've been hurt before. And it's like the boy who cried wolf. You know what I mean? That story, it's like eventually you say it enough times and people don't believe you at all, even though when it's actually happening. And it's like, no, guys, look, it is actually happening. I know before people have hurt you, but I'm actually telling you the truth, but you're just a victim of that. You're just collateral damage. Yeah. So all the work you've done, those 10, 11, 12 years that you've put in, people are only looking at a portion of it now. And then it's like, anyone who steps in this industry now has to be willing to deal with that. I'm willing to deal with it. I'm willing to get hate. Like, if people want to hate on me, fine, right? I find it odd, but if you have comfort in that and you feel some form of satisfaction trying to bring me down, cool, right? But it's something that I've prepped myself for, but it's something that never used to exist all the time. Now it seems to be every single video that goes out, no matter whose channel. And it's so rare to find positivity now. And I do think it's because of the whole course dynamic. People will sell you a course. They will not give you anything else, no service, nothing. You never get any access to them. You're just looking at information. And then you're like, well, what do I do with this information? No one's trying to guide me. So I do find it odd that that's been that course mentality that people think that they can monetize with has been the standard. But I also get why people are angry, but I don't understand why, if people want to see the industry change, why they continue to hate. Because a lot of the time there are good guys out there that they haven't discovered yet, if they just looked, instead of leaving that comment.
I mean, that's what irritates me, the stupidity, because it's like, instead of just going, this is a scam, and just blindly believing that, it's like, do the maths. Like, do the maths. Where's the scam here? Add it up. Like, how, do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. Oh, Simp Society documentary, it cost me 12 grand.
Yeah.
It cost me 3 months to film. 3 months of time and 12 grand. What, who's getting scammed?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's coming out of my pocket.
Yeah.
I'm taking the time. Who's paying the videographers? Who's paying the editors? Who paid Elbrook to be there? Who paid for the location in Bromley by Bow, next door to where I used to live?
Yeah.
If anybody wants to go and see
Not
it, it's
far.
there. Go and search it. You can see. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's expensive. That was like 1,800 for like 4 or 5 hours. We had other people with us. We booked a hotel that night. I drove down in my car, my fuel, my insurance on that car and stuff like that, with wheat waffles in the car with me. Right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
paid for the hotel for
That's
all
a
of us.
throwback.
So I booked a hotel for me, wheat waffles, and my camera guy in East London. That's coming out of my pocket. And people go, oh, it's a scam. And it's like, do you know how much work goes into this?
They don't.
And the reason I don't ever bring it up, apart from today, is because I genuinely give a shit. It's like your kids, you know, your kids speak to you like shit, and you go, and you don't answer back because you're like, I'm doing this because I love you.
Yeah.
And you go, you will never know what I did to you until I'm gone. My mum and dad always used to say that to me, like, you'll appreciate me when I'm dead and gone one day. And I was like, oh, shut up. Do you know what I mean? You're like, no, I won't. And then you do, you get older and you go, fuck, thanks, Dad. Thank you for everything that you did for me. And I'm not saying that the industry is going to go, Chris, my dad, thank you for it. But as they get older, they'll realize, they'll be like, that was tough, what he did. He, like, trying to find the next thing, trying to, you know, the reason behind the stream platform example was like, media was soft and feminine. Let's fix it. And we're still attacking it today. We're still going after it. It probably makes us a loss every month. But obviously we're not directly going after it right now. 1MI is the main thing. But if I went after it, it would make us a loss right now.
Yeah.
I mean, via the school community, it would make us profit, which is why we had to switch it, because businesses have to keep the lights on. Do you know what I mean? We
Yeah.
couldn't do what we were doing forever. But you look at it and you're like, it's done with the best of intentions. That's what hurts. When it's like you're a scammer, it's like, fuck, I did it for you.
Yeah.
The same person called me a scammer, I did it for you. It's like going out to a club, not cheating on your missus, turning down every woman in that room, even though you could. And then you get back and she accuses you of cheating and gives you grief anyway. You'd be like, fuck am I doing it for then?
Yeah.
Why are we even together? Why didn't I just go and fuck all those women regardless? That's how it feels to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you know what? If you're saying that I'm a scammer and I'm doing this, then fuck it. Next time, you know, I'll cash in on 4 or 5 million and run away and go and buy my Ferrari. And then I go, no, I'm not doing that. And that's the difference. I can't do it because I'm like, I want to help the guys. Like, I feel as though I started this industry. Whatever people say, I feel like I started it and I want to be the last man standing when it finishes. I want to close the door and lock
First
it up.
man and last man.
Yeah. I want to close the door, lock it up and be like, we did a good job. We gave 3, 4 generations of men and their sons a chance to travel around the world. The best possible supplement, the best outfits, all curated so they don't have to, like, everything's taken care of. And they'll look back and go, because I signed up to 1M International and because I consumed the media that you put out there, you changed my life and I was able to then save 40 grand a year by just by paying 5 a year to travel and live and whatever. And I was able to save that up and get my house and now I'm married with kids and it's all thanks to you. And I don't want to hear it. I don't need the dick waggle at the end, but as nice as that sounds. But I do like the legacy play of being like 20 years on, we'll sit there and go, we changed millions of lives. There's so many men out there that will be like, I wouldn't have done it without that. Like you, and I think they are. I think they're the silent masses because the people tell me in 1M International, Chris, I've never left a comment on your video in my life. And I'm just like, that's crazy. The fact that you spent that much money with the brand. Some of the guys have spent 2 grand on supplements over 3-4 years, and then they've spent 2 grand on the membership. So they've given you 4 grand and they've never commented on your channel. And it's like, that's who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But they're the same people. You know, we got rid of the early people that signed up to 1M International when they were nuts. We got rid of them. And what we've got now is this great group of people who support each other, want the best for each other, who are like, we can build an amazing community off the back of this. When they're in somebody else's town or city, they meet them. They go, oh, you in? Like, let me come and meet up with you. You could stay in my house in Switzerland whenever you want. And you're like, this is insane. That's the level of network it gives you.
Yeah.
it's the best of the best. Do you know what I mean? It's good people, it's sane people, and that's who I'm worried about helping. I'd love to help everybody. That's probably my biggest flaw, but that's where my mind's at, is like the legacy play. If we can just get 10,000 guys, that's my mission, to sign up to 1M International, traveling the world, going on that same journey of the guys that I mentioned earlier, where they've gone from like the co-op to $8 grand a month. And it's changed their life, and they're like, this is unbelievable. Not for me, but for them. And then as a byproduct of that, one day I get to cash in and have the Disney life, which I've always spoken about. It's like I've never lost faith in the plan. How can somebody say I'm going to do all this step by step, live it step by step, say balling on a budget, Mr. International, create a business around that is trying to prove that. You know, talk about high testosterone and then create a supplement that does that. Talk about a certain way to dress and live. Be in London in the grey, Hobbs and Shaw, you know, the scene with Jason Statham, and then come and actually live that lifestyle and create a trench coat that actually looks like it does in the... It's like I'm mimicking everything that I ever said. Even in the early days, I said to people, put every penny that you ever earned back into the business. That's how you succeed. People went online and went, according to Chris's accounts, he made a $2 loss. He actually loses money. And I was like, dickhead, to have that extra $2 extra, I have to have had extra money, because that's called a director's loan. If you were actually at the stage we're at, where you run a real business and switch your brain on, you would know that. But your heroes online that don't pay taxes, like the Tates, like Iman Gadzi, like Luke Belmar, that got an investment from his granddad, or like inheritance from his granddad. These people don't show you that because you can't find their accounts online. There is no evidence of them ever making money. So it's like when somebody actually has a legitimate setup and puts every penny back into their business in the early days, because that's the only way to get rich, is to make 117 grand in your first year of business whilst your dad is dying, whilst you're paying for his funeral, while you're taking care of all that shit, while you're under a ton of stress, and put it all back in during COVID, when I could have gone, oh, I can have a nice life off this, put it all back in, and then get shit for that after telling people to do that for years, is so backwards to me. It's people have got short memories. It's like, I've told you to do that. I've been a man of my word. I've done it. Now I'm catching shit for it. And it's just like the Facebook quote when they have Sean Parker sat there and he's like, if somehow you've lived your life like the Dalai Lama, they'll make shit up. And that's why I sat there and went, you can't win. The only way you can win is by, you know what, bought a house in Granada, I'm going to buy you a second one. Oh, Chris is still a scammer. I bought you a third one. You're still a scammer. I bought you a fourth one. I've bought you a fifth one. And now we're just plaguing the internet with clips of guys using the houses, testimonials. Now we've got 400 testimonials. So they're all paid actors. They're all liars. And that's how you win. You just go again and again and again. And long term, the truth always comes out in the end. And that's what's happening now. You see it on the channel, 99.9% like ratio. The views are back up. Everyone's going, shit, well, you know, I was worrying about where this was going to go, but like he's done everything he said he was going to do. This is very legitimate now. Like I know a guy that's actually in the group. I'm getting that now. Like, oh yeah, my friend signed up. He said it was amazing. He was at the launch party. Launch party looked really cool, by the way. And you're like, here we go. Now people are seeing the legitimacy of it. And the other guys, the scammers that are all going to prison, we know a lot of them. I mean, you think some of the top guys in the industry, the top 2 guys have been to prison, rape claims left, right, and center. Okay. Then you've got 2 guys that have a massive podcast, something and something, right? I think people all know who they are. One got an escort pregnant. The other one's missus is wearing a wedding ring, even though he says never get married, right? Very disingenuous. The other biggest guy in the industry that is 23 years old or was and was worth, you know, 7 quintillion. Great, okay. Has no tax filings online and no evidence that he's ever made that money. Literally none. And he has started his business in the UK and sold it because it was making too much money. Switch your fucking brains on. Do you know what I mean? This is what you're dealing with. Whereas you see a guy like me that puts every penny back in and tries to create bricks and mortar from the ground up. Scam, scam, scam. You're like, this is a witch hunt. And what you're doing is when people are asleep is you're putting a broom in their hand and a black cat at the edge of the bed. And it's like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that because some people are actually about it. Some people are actually trying to build a business. I don't come from money like all these other people. You know, it takes a long time. I didn't do online porn and prostitution like 2 of the brothers that are at the top of the industry. I've started a legitimate business. I pay my taxes fair and square, which people know because I paid a fuck ton in taxes in the last year or so. And I've just built the business step by step and done the right thing at the right time for the audience. And nobody can ever question that. Nobody can ever doubt it. And that's the difference. I've sat in a garage with 3 coats on in the cold, breathing cold air out, packaging supplements for people, signing books for people, sending them off. You know, walking down the post office with 2 massive bags and dropping the packages off of people,
Yeah.
and not making much profit off that, just because I knew it was the right thing to do, and that book would help people and the supplements would help people. That's never changed, and it will never change. Like, I don't own this house. This is rented through the company's name. That the house is built like a studio. Do you know what I mean? It's built like a studio. It's built for filming. It's built for interviews, podcasts, whatnot. Every piece of furniture has been bought for the business. I've been sleeping on the floor for a month. Do you know what I mean? I've only just finally got a mattress. My mind just goes business, 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 help the boys, help the guys. Whether people see it or not, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, it's a legacy play and the truth will be out in the end. And like I said, if I've got my 10,000 guys that are like, couldn't have done it without you, that's where I see it. That's where I started it. Do you know what I mean?
Perfect. It's a great way to end it, mate.
Probably is.
Yeah.
It's a good wrap up.
Wrap it up, mate.
Mate,
Cheers for
appreciate it.
Legend.
Cheers, big guys.
Thanks, mate.